Okay, we're looking at Chapter 14, Part 2, and we're going to talk about punctuating independent adjectives, verbal phrases, and prepositional phrases. And as you'll see, we've covered a lot of this to some extent in some of the previous chapters. We're also going to talk about using commas correctly and punctuating independent, introductory, terminal, and non-essential clauses. Okay, independent adjectives. If we have two adjectives that are modifying a noun, we need to separate them if they're modifying the same noun. Okay, here we have how many laborious, inefficient procedures can we eliminate? We have two independent adjectives describing or modifying procedures, so we're going to separate these with a comma, these two. Introductory verbal phrases. Verbal phrases have to do with verbs, obviously, and they precede the main clauses, and so they should be, if they precede the main clauses, they should be followed by commas. Okay, so hoping to get a seat, here's a verbal phrase, and it's preceding the main clause, James arrived early. We need to set this off with a comma. To complete the job, here's another verbal phrase. Here's our main clause, we must work overtime. So we're going to use a comma here. Shocked, we listened to the CEO's announcement. This is just a one-word verbal, so we need to set it off with a comma still. Okay, prepositional phrases. If we have one or more introductory prepositional phrase totaling four or more words, it should be followed by a comma. So here you need to remember this right here. For the past 6 months, that's more than 4 words. And this is a prepositional phrase that begins with the preposition for, comma, email service has been erratic. In the spring of next year, we will try a new system. Okay, here's our prepositional phrase in. Well, our preposition's in, so this is our phrase. Here's our main clause, we will try a new system. So we want a comma there. If the introductory prep phrase has 3 or fewer words, you don't have to put a comma. By next Monday is 3 words, so we really don't have to put a comma here. In 2013, here's our little prep phrase. It's 2 words, so we don't need to put a comma after it. In this case, here's another prep phrase. It's 3 words, so we don't have to use a comma. And so on. On Friday, here's our preposition on Friday. So since this is 2 words, we don't have to put a comma after it. Okay, we don't use commas to set off internal preposition phrases that do not interrupt the sentence. Okay, so we do not at this time anticipate layoffs. This is essential information, and it's not interrupting the sentence, so we don't have to put commas to separate this one. Okay, independent clauses. And we've talked about this before, but let's cover it again. When a coordinated conjunction joins independent clauses, use a comma before the conjunction. Unless the clauses are joined by the conjunction and, unless the clauses joined by conjunction and are short, up to 13 total words. So here's another thing you need to remember. Okay, so we have the computer is an efficient tool of management. So that's one independent clause. And here's our coordinating conjunction, but it does not eliminate the need for managers. That's in our second independent clause. So we're joining them together, so we need our comma here. Okay, and then we have tried many times and we have failed. We don't use a comma here because this sentence is short. It has less than 13 words in it, so we really don't need a comma here. Okay, introductory clauses. These are dependent clauses that are before independent clauses, and so we use commas. This note here, this is a big problem. This is the most frequently missed comma in business writing. Okay, introductory clauses, they usually begin with subordinating conjunctions. And if you can't remember what that is, go look in chapter 13 on page 267 for a list of the subordinating conjunctions, because this is important. Here's one. When Mark was hired, so here's our subordinating conjunction. And so this is a dependent clause when Mark was hired. It has a subject and a verb, but it doesn't make sense by itself. Remember, that was our definition of the dependent clause. And it begins with a subordinating conjunction. So we're going to set this off with a comma. And then the second part is our independent clause. His manager outlined his duties. If Jennifer applies, okay, here's our subordinating conjunction, and it has a subject and a verb, but it doesn't make sense by itself, so we need to set this off with a comma. And then here's our independent clause. We will surely hire her. Okay, and then we're going to move on to terminal dependent clauses. We use a comma before a dependent clause at the end of a sentence only if the clause adds non-essential information. Okay, and then here's our description of if it's essential, if it answers the questions like when, why, and how. So if that information that's in that terminal dependent clause is essential, it's going to answer one of these questions. Okay, we are usually open from 10 until 5, although we can make special arrangements if necessary. It adds some information, but it's not really essential. Does it answer any of those questions from before? When, why, how? No, so it's not essential. So we do need a comma here. His duties were outlined when he was hired. Does that answer one of those questions? When, where, or when, why, and how? Well, yes, it answers the when question, so it is essential, so we don't need a comma here. Non-essential clauses, you use commas to set off clauses that are used parenthetically or supply information unneeded for the grammatical completeness of the sentence. Okay, for example, Melanie Lipman, who teaches in California, submitted excellent suggestions. Well, we really don't need to know that she teaches in California, so that really is non-essential information, so it's a non-essential clause. So we will set it off with commas. Okay, let's try this in this next section. We're going to put commas, and it's telling us some of the sentences are correct. Traveling across the country, I wanted a hotel that was tech savvy. Okay, so do I need a comma here? Well, yes, I do, because I'm traveling across the country. And what is this? This is a verbal phrase. introductory verbal phrase, so remember I need to put a comma here. I hoped for a room with an adjustable, comfortable workstation chair. Here I have two independent adjectives describing the workstation chair, so I need a comma to separate the two. In the past, I had difficulty finding rooms with high-speed internet access, and I was not hopeful this time. Do I need to separate this? Okay. I have, in the past, I had difficulty finding rooms with high-speed internet access. Do I need something after past? No. But I do have one independent clause here, and then I have another one here. I was not hopeful this time. And then I have the conjunction, or the coordinating conjunction and. So I do need to separate this with a comma. My finger was too quick on the mouse button that time. I did not, on my latest trip, expect to find a tech-savvy hotel. Okay, so I did not, on my latest trip. Do I need to know this information? Could I say I did not expect to find a tech-savvy hotel? Yes, I can. So do I need to separate this with commas? No. This one here, I am not, I think this one can go either way, but they are, in the book, are saying that this one's correct. On my latest trip could be essential information, so we could leave that in there. But I mean, that we might want this information in here. So they are saying this one's correct. Okay, I checked into a Hilton and immediately locked myself in my room and opened my laptop. What do I have here? I immediately locked myself in my room and opened my laptop. So do I need any commas in here? We don't, because I have these two separated by and, these two elements, locked and opened. They're separated by and, so I don't have to I don't need a comma there. Okay, our sales rep, Tom Tyler, prefers Marriott hotels. Do I need to put a comma here? Our sales rep prefers Marriott hotels. Tom Tyler is that rep. Do I need a comma there? No, because we need to know which sales rep it is or know the name of the sales rep. So we actually don't need our comma here. Now if I had this turned around and had Tom Tyler, our sales rep, then I would set our sales rep off in commas. When I finished my report, I heated a sandwich in the microwave and took a cold drink out of the refrigerator. Okay, so when I finished my report, what is this? This is a introductory clause, because it has the subject, I, and finished is the verb, but it doesn't stand alone as its own sentence. So I need a comma after it, and then I heated the sandwich in the microwave and took a cold drink out of the refrigerator. I just need this one comma here because this is my introductory clause. And then I heated the sandwich in the microwave and took out, I have this and separating it. I heated a sandwich in the microwave is an independent clause. Took a cold drink out of the refrigerator is not. So I don't need to put a comma after this. Liz Kabilis, who travels frequently, recommends Hyatt hotels. Do I need to know she travels frequently? No. So I'm going to set that off in commas. This chapter, commas, you're probably going to want to do a lot of extra practice and try to figure out ways to remember all this stuff because, like I said at the beginning of part 1, knowing how to use commas correctly is so important, and the rules are plentiful, so if you can figure out a way to memorize the rules, it will help you a lot. Okay, signing off for part 2.